Hello, welcome to Jenny's Food Network. Okay, I'm doing a video response on the same person who had sent me a message about the video about what I thought about the protein powder drinks and the protein carb bars, and also about the relationship question about is it okay for men to look but not stare at attractive women. So I did the video, so the person responded back and said, "Thanks for taking the time and answering my questions, and I am really sorry that my message was so hard to read, and thanks for being honest and not sugarcoating anything, because people nowadays try so hard to not offend people that they end up not being honest." Thank you so much. That is very true. A lot of times people don't want to answer certain questions, and they'll try to avoid it by ignoring the question, or they don't do a video response or whatever, or just people in general that you meet in public. Sometimes people kind of give you an answer that's more like not a very honest feedback, but oh well. But for me, I gave an honest feedback on how I felt, and so that's why I responded the way I did. So I'm glad that the person appreciated the video response. And the person also said, my last question is that I am Native American, so I have grown up eating buffalo meat more than beef, and I like it because it is part of my culture, and I was raised to not really question it or how healthy it is. And so I wanted to know if you know anything about buffalo meat and if it's actually healthy in any way or healthier than beef, because it is so hard to find reliable people, because one person says one thing and another person says another thing. And that's why I'm asking you, because you are honest. Well, thank you very much for that compliment. I just express the way I feel that I naturally express myself and answer whatever questions. So it is definitely no problem. It's my pleasure. You know, I enjoy answering questions. And to get back to the part that the person said, my last question is, there's no such thing as my last question, because if you have any questions in life, don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's how you learn in college, that's how you learn in school in general, that's how you learn at work. So, I mean, as long as people are willing to respond to you, there's no need to be afraid to make it a last question, because it's almost like stunting your growth in learning and wanting to know more, or getting different perspective from different people. So asking questions is actually a very good thing, because for me, when I do video responses, it's not only the person that's learning from me who wrote me the message, but also for other viewers to learn from it as well. So it's a good thing. Okay, as long as it's decent and appropriate, of course, I'll answer the question. Okay, so this person is Native American, and is part of, their culture of eating buffalo meat. And buffalo meat is also known as bison meat as well. It's commonly called bison meat because I guess the word buffalo sounds too awkward. And we're so used to chicken meat, cow meat, and fish and tofu, but we're not used to calling things buffalo meat. So I guess the most commonly called meat for it is bison meat. Okay, so, and the person asked if do I know anything about it and so on. For me, I think I've had it once when this nearby restaurant by our home, Freddie had ordered, it's like a fast food sports bar kind of place, like a bar and grill place, and Freddie had ordered these little mini hamburgers, and they're actually, I believe they were like bison or buffalo meat, I think that's what it was. So buffalo and bison meat are starting to get more popular, and for me, I don't really buy bison meat because I don't really care for it, I guess what's common out there, I believe maybe bison meat is a little more expensive than beef. I'm not sure, but I believe it is, because the more rare an item is, or the less location that it's located for you to buy it, I believe it's going to be more expensive, okay? Chicken is so common, so chicken is going to be, a little cheaper than beef, So, okay, so to get back to this, is it healthier, And based on my knowledge, buffalo meat or bison meat is actually considered a lot healthier than, and more nutritious than beef meat, chicken, and fish, because it's even considered having more protein than beef, and it's actually considered having less calories, less fat, and less cholesterol compared to chicken and fish, and that's bison meat. It is considered even more leaner than all of them, and that's pretty interesting. So, you know, bison meat is starting to get more popular now. You don't really hear about buffalo meat at the grocery store much, you know, unless if you're like growing up in that environment and you know, you eat with other friends and family who eat that type of meat, then you'll be more familiar with it. But me growing up, we're more into like the beef and chicken meat. We've never really like, you know, I remember like my parents, they're more traditional. Instead of buying meat at the grocery store, they usually would go to the farm and they would buy a cow or pig, whatever, and then they would, you know, manually, you know, degut it, you know, and slaughter the animal, of course, you know, for food purposes, of course. And these days, with the situation of how meat are prepared at manufacturing company, so is it healthier? It is said to be healthier because it's considered more nutritious and have more protein than beef, and it's considered more low calorie, low fat, and less cholesterol compared to chicken and fish. And so if you, and also the reason why it's so is because buffaloes are grass-fed in an open field at a ranch, okay? And so they're supposed to be considered healthier because of what they eat compared to the cows, pigs, and chickens, okay? So therefore your meat will be a lot healthier. And the thing is, it's kind of hard to distinguish because you don't know what truth is out there. Like if you slaughter your own bison, let's say you raise bison and you slaughter them yourselves naturally or more manually, then you know how it was fed, how it grew up, okay? And that it was, and bisons are considered less likely to be injected with steroids, hormones, okay? So therefore it's supposed to be considered healthier. But the thing is, as long as you know that you've raised it and it was well fed with grass, which is considered more nutritious and healthier for the animal, and when you slaughter the bison, then I would definitely say that it would be a lot healthier in a more real way in terms of like reality, you know? But if you buy bison meat at a grocery store, you don't know what that animal went through, okay? I've seen many documentaries where certain companies will be labeled as reputable companies that give the least pain to animals when they're being slaughtered, or they're being known for the least cruelty to animals, the way they slaughter them. That was a bunch of lies. Like, for example, the way that the cows or even the horses were slaughtered. I believe before, like for example, horses, certain states, it's illegal to sell horse meat, okay? As gross as it sounds, but because we're so used to horses being as pets, you know, like you raise them and then you do horseback riding on them and they're considered like a pet, you know? But I'm not sure if Illinois is considered legal or illegal to have horse meat. I don't recall, but I did remember something about horse meat was allowed in Illinois or it was banned or something. I don't remember. It was so long ago when I heard that. And for example, horse meat, like for example, the horses and the cows. So this manufacturing company were known to be reputable in having the least cruelty on animals when they slaughter them. But that was a lie. They had hidden cameras and they had the neck trapped in a machine and twisting it until the animal just literally died and bled to death. That was real cruelty, and it took a while for the animal to die, okay? And besides the cruelty of how they're being slaughtered for meat to sell at the grocery market, another thing is you don't know what's injected in them, okay? They can say that bison meat are considered healthier than beef and chicken and fish, you know, because there's not much, there's like, if any, because it's like no injections or steroids or growth hormones injected in them. And you don't know that, you know? So you could still buy bison meat at the grocery store and it could be filled with full of unnatural substances and you're eating it, you know what I mean? So it's kind of scary on that part. So all I can say is you can't trust the market because the FDA approves a lot of garbage food out there. The FDA approves a lot of chemicals in our foods that are very harmful, that's causing the majority of the population becoming sterile where they can't have children, okay? And it's pretty stupid. The FDA is just pretty much a backup lie, really. They should be ashamed of themselves because we have children, you know, just like the infant drinking water with fluoride added. People thought fluoride is very important in the drinking water for the health of our teeth, but it turns out that fluoride is also very toxic and it's also in our toothpaste. So it's really confusing, you know, and annoying to know what to believe anymore. But all I can say is, if you raise your own buffaloes or bisons, and if you have them be grass-fed, which is more nutritious for them, and as long as they're not being injected with hormones and steroids and all these other stuff in their bodies to mimic their growth, and then you're pretty much on the safer side then, because you know how the animals were raised. But not a lot of us are going to be able to afford or have the land to raise buffaloes and slaughter them for meat. You know, so therefore, a majority of the population, if they really want bison meat, they'll have to get it at the grocery store. And like I said, it could be a lot of lies, we don't know. Just like those kosher or kosher foods. Sorry, I always forget how to pronounce it correctly. I believe it's kosher. Okay, kosher food, they're known for like the least minimal animal cruelty, and they're supposed to consider healthier quality type of animals being slaughtered for their meat, you know, for example. And so they will be charged a lot more expensive than the regular meats, okay? So that, for example, you still don't know these companies, how they really treat them behind doors, how they're supposed to be naturally fed, but they can still do sneaky things where they inject these animals for growth hormones or steroids and so on. And we don't know. You know, there's a lot of corruption out there in companies that will do whatever it takes to get the production out, to sell, to make millions. So it's hard to trust the grocery store because they don't know any better to even know to trust a manufacturing company, because they got to get the products to sell to customers. So the sellers are, it's like a trickling effect. So the grocery store owners, they just order whatever is a decent deal from whichever vendor that's going to give them a good deal. And so the vendors are like the middlemans from the farmers that grow these buffaloes. So it's really hard to say. All I can say is you can only trust what you see and what you raise and what you slaughter. So, and on top of that, besides buffalo, I want to talk about other meats as well. And so for pork meat, okay, so like I said, bison meat is considered healthier and leaner than beef, chicken, fish, and pork, okay? So let's talk about other meats too. So for pork is considered more fattening than, you know, chicken and fish, okay? And the thing about pork is, what I wanted to say, the pork is considered white meat as well, okay? And you have to be very careful about, sorry, I totally like wiped out. I totally forgot what I was going to say about pork because I was wanted to think about other meats too. So let's skip pork and get back to it when I remember it back in my brain, okay? So for chicken, okay, chicken is considered a lot leaner, okay? It's considered a little cheaper than beef, okay? And it's got a good amount of protein as well. It's much leaner than pork and beef, of course. And so for chicken, you just have to be careful with stuff like with salmonella and E. coli bacteria. And so make sure you cook your chicken with a thermometer in the middle of the meat section and check for the temperature to be at least 165 degrees, okay? Because that will definitely wipe out all the bacteria out of there, okay? And sometimes people undercook their chickens when they grill it, when they oven bake it, or when they stove top it, or when they fry it. It's not cooked all the way, and people get food poisoned by the salmonella and the E. coli bacteria. So just be very careful with the chicken. And also, let's talk about fish now, okay? Fish is considered very healthy. People who intake more fish than those who don't eat fish much at all, they are considered to have they're considered less likely to have heart disease and colon cancer. And what's really healthy part of the fish is that the fats, the omega-3 fatty acids, those are extremely healthy, and that's what battles against heart disease, okay? And be extremely careful with your intake with fish, because watch out for the bigger size fish. Keel, don't you ever go on that again. You're killing it, okay? You do one more time, you're in big trouble. Q's like stepping on the plant, so. Okay, so what I was saying about be careful with the bigger fish, like tuna, sharks, and swordfish. They are fish-eating fish, okay? So when those type of fish eat other fish, they will have a very high level of mercury in their bodies as well. So women who are pregnant have to be extremely careful, or women who are breastfeeding, be very careful when you're intaking fish like tuna, sharks, and swordfish, okay? They're very high in mercury. And if you ingest very high mercury fish, that's very harmful for you. It's actually very poisonous or pretty much toxic to your body. It could be deadly if you have enough mercury in your body, okay? So be very careful about fish and stick to the smaller fish, okay? Salmon's decent, okay? And other smaller type of fish. And so due to the omega-3 fatty acids in the fish, the more fattier the fish are, the more healthy they are, okay? And so codfish, for example, COD, codfish, they're not gonna be as highly nutritious as the other fish because I guess it's much leaner. It doesn't have much omega-3 fatty acids in it. So just so you be aware when you're choosing your fish, you know, if you're not sure much about fish, you can ask the local markets near your home and ask them questions. But like I said, not everyone knows much about fish. So if you ask an employee, they may know a lot or they may not know much, okay? So do your research if you want to know more. So what I gave you was just like basic information about fish, okay? So so that's good for that. And what else want to say? Yeah, so another thing is about turkeys. Hey, Ken. So turkeys are considered white meat, especially the turkey breast area, but the thigh area does have its dark meat as well. But turkey is supposed to be considered more flavorful than chicken. And also turkey is considered to make you lazy because like a lot of people will always complain during Thanksgiving or whenever they have turkey that they feel sleepy, they feel tired. It's because turkey has a sleeping inducing thing. It has a sleeping inducing amino acids called tryptophan. It's called tryptophan, and that amino acid in the turkey itself is actually what you're eating that makes you feel sleepy. And usually for the holidays when you have turkey, during Thanksgiving, sometimes you'll have turkey for Christmas celebration or New Year celebration or Easter, whenever you guys have turkey throughout the year, whenever. And usually if there's a get-together party, sometimes there's alcohol involved. So if you have beer, wine, or some shots, whatever, the mixture of that type of depressant mixed in eating with turkey is a good combination to feel super lazy and tired. And that's why every time you eat turkey, you just feel tired at a party. You just want to go to you just want to go to bed and take a nap. So turkey is pretty nutritious as well, and it's pretty lean as well. And next I want to talk about is beef. So beef, naturally, beef is supposed to be a really putrid, yucky looking color. Beef meat is actually supposed to be gray, okay? Like a gross looking gray. I've always seen beef, after you wash it at home, you will always see it kind of like pale looking gray. That is how beef looks like naturally. But because the market out there demands beef for whatever price, they want to sell beef to make it look yummy and tasty and red and juicy. So they use a red chemical that is not even food grade. It's not even food coloring, okay? Food coloring in your head would be meaning that food coloring that's okay for coloring the eggshells for Easter Day, to color the eggshells, to give it some color. Food coloring is considering coloring the frosting that you use for your cake. Food coloring being used for coloring the water in order to soak like orange peels to make roses out of them and stuff. So just be really careful about the beef thing, because that could really be very deadly and toxic. I mean, they use a red chemical to dye the meat to make it look red and juicy and yummy. And it's not even food grade. It's very harmful, cancer causing, okay? It causes cancer. And so you red meat lovers out there, It's really scary what you buy at the grocery store, but if you do raise your own cows, which a lot of us don't have the opportunity to own a farm and raise the cows and know what they're being fed, to know if they're injected with hormones or injected with steroids and all that yucky stuff in them, that's not even healthy for those poor cows. If you raise them and you slaughter your own cows, you'll know that that's a lot healthier form, okay? And you know that they weren't injected with all these unhealthy stuff in them. Okay, so then that is the healthiest form of cow meat, beef. But like I said, what we buy at the grocery store, we're clueless, okay? Even if they say it's, you know, kosher meat, who knows what they really do behind doors at the manufacturing company, how they slaughter those poor animals, whatever. So you think about it, it's like, and another thing I want to bring about is ground beef. I had mentioned in my other videos as well. So for ground beef, that is like the nightmare of the world, but people still buy it because they want that hamburger meat, you know? So when you go eat at the restaurant or go to the grocery store and buy ground beef to make hamburgers or to make as part of your spaghetti and all that stuff, ground beef, if you ate it naturally, you would just die. Your body will not be able to fight the bacteria that's in it. Ground beef is known, just like hot dogs, they're known for leftover gunk that the manufacturing company that doesn't want to sell to you because it's so disgusting. They grind it up and that's your ground beef, okay? And they do put that coloring in there, toxic chemical, red color to dye that ground beef as well, to make it look red, yummy, and juicy and healthy. And that stuff is really toxic as well. You know, that goes to the ground beef, not just the regular beef meat slabs, but also in the grounded version as well. And when they also call it pink slime because it's such gunk of quality. And even if you say, no, it's healthy quality, okay, whatever, but it's still got that red chemical in there and it's just a leftover gunk that they just want to put together and make it into a hot dog. But for beef, they make it into ground beef. So, let's see, it's really scary because I used to buy a lot of ground beef to put it in with my spaghetti. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So if you ate ground beef naturally, you would just die because your body can't fight the bacteria that's in it, okay? So what they do is, before they put it in the market to sell for consumers, they wash it down with some water and some pneumonia chemical, very toxic, lots of fumes. They use pneumonia to wash the ground beef, okay? And then they drain out the water and then they package it. There's your ground beef, okay? And I believe for sure not 100% of that pneumonia is washed off. So we're ingesting like a washing machine of water and pneumonia mixed together to clean it out for you. And then you eat it, your children eat it, your young babies eat it, your spouse, lovers, partner, family, friends, coworker, the whole world eats it. So, except for those who are vegetarian or vegans that don't eat that stuff. But don't forget, vegetarians and vegans are not always safe either because there's a lot of E. coli bacteria in the soil that vegetables are grown from as well, and fruits too. So just like there's always incidents of vegetables being contaminated with E. coli, like the spinach leaves. This elder was ingesting a good amount of spinach leaves and she died because she was ingesting contaminated spinach leaves that were contaminated with E. coli bacteria. Isn't that disgusting? So vegans and vegetarians are not always safe just because they stay away from meat, because their fruits and vegetables can be contaminated as well with E. coli, or contaminated with a lot of pesticide, and they ingest a lot of veggies and fruits, and then, you know, they can become very sick and ill and not even know that they're being poisoned by fruits and vegetables. So be very careful about that. It is also recommended as a alternative. What are you doing, Jet? No. Okay. It is also known to be recommended that you could always wash your fruits and vegetables with water and vinegar to help really sterilize it real good. So, but whatever it is, do the best you can to clean your fruits and veggies. I mean, you know. So anyways, I want to get back to the pork. I kind of forgot about what I was going to say about the pork. Okay, so pork is considered more fattening than chicken and fish, and what did I want to say about pork? All right, sorry, I have so many things in my head, so I'm gonna get back to the pork stuff. So that's all I could say about now. So bison meat wins. It's getting more popular. It's getting more well known. Bison meat or buffalo meat, they are served at certain restaurants, not all restaurants, because what's popular at restaurants are like chicken, fish, and beef, you know. And so I believe bison meat might be more expensive than beef because it's more of a rare item, you know. And yeah, so yes, it's considered healthier, so good luck to that. And like I said, if you buy it at the grocery market, you don't know what's in it really. So the best way to know is if you raise them yourself and you slaughter them yourself. So that's all I have to say about buffalo meat, or popularly known as bison meat. Thanks for watching.